Welcome again to another episode of Templar's Talks. And although we know number 13 is known as the number for bad luck, it is actually episode number 12. But bad luck, you think? What are you talking about? Well, my co-host Elvira is feeling ill today, so I have to record the entire episode by myself. So you will be listening to my voice only. I'm sorry for that. You'll have to do with me. Let's start first with looking at the bands that I've been seeing this 2 weeks. Which is not that many, because after all the festivals I was ready to go on a break. And I did go to see a couple of bands playing in the Willemijn Café. I've talked about that event before. It's kind of very low-key. People can just walk in, don't pay any entry fees, and see some bands play. Today on this menu was like 2 bands that were having their first show ever. Both playing a bit punk rock, pop kinda music. Not very special, but yeah, what do you expect from first timers? The first band was called Stay Gone. And they played like maybe 15-20 minutes, something like that. First couple of songs were okay. After that it got a bit boring. Typical local band style, you know. They need to grow a little bit more. What really stood out from them was their drummer. I think she puts in a very, extreme kind of sound for this kind of music. So she really makes it a bit more than just a local band does. Like straying a bit further from that. So I really like that. If they keep building and looking for their own sound a bit more, then I guess we can see them again. Then there was Clearly Confused, a bit older guys. They're more like power pop kind of sounds. Yeah, I don't know, nothing special, nothing unique on it yet. But again, these guys were also on their first show, so not much to expect. I cannot say much more about it. I simply looked at it being like, okay, it's one of those bands that needs to get some experience playing together. But the headliner of the evening, Maz and the Phantasms, well, I must tell you a little bit about that. They're from UK. There were a whole lot of people on the stage. I think they were coming from Scotland. They have a bit of surf, krautrock sound in between there. It's kind of diverse. They have taken their influences from different sides, and that's interesting. The first part of the set was maybe a bit better than the last part of the set, in a sense that it's more dynamic. The older songs were played last, and she also told that was at some point they were playing the first song she wrote or something like that. Yeah, you can hear the difference. And it's nice that these older songs have a place as well in a set list, so you can hear the difference and how they have been growing. I think what I really liked about them is their diversity, and that makes it a bit more unique also. I liked how catchy some of the songs are. They have asked a lot for audience participation, so altogether they done really well. Maybe this is just a short piece that I'm talking about this show, but yeah, it is what it is. I've only went to one show to talk about, so you have to do with it. And now that we have been talking about the past, let's talk about the future a little bit. Because, of course, last time we were talking about Into the Grave. But another festival has come through with their message that Templars will be present, which is Tuska Festival. Now, I was already expected that because we've been there for like ever, maybe like 16, 17, 18 times, something like that. Yeah, so I thought it would be nice to like look at the lineup a little bit. Tuska is really a Templar's favorite, so always there's something interesting to see. Last year, the festival announced that they were going to focus a bit more on a younger audience rather than just only on the traditional metalheads, which is a cool direction because I think it's cool that young people get a chance to see their favorite bands as well. And although that is something you can clearly see in the lineup. It's also so that there's also their bands that you are familiar with from a long time, for example. That play is Kerry King. We all know Kerry King, of course. Ziel and Ador is one of those names. We've seen Tarot several times. Sonata Arctica, Stamina, those bands are like, yeah, regulars in Tuska, and also bands you've seen around if you've been around in the metal scene for quite some time. I think Amorphous is also a name that not only we as Templars often talk about, but they're so often seen. Stratovarius is one of the older names that we're gonna see, but I think for me the headline of their older names is definitely Parkway Drive. It's cool, they're active, and yeah, I haven't seen them for quite a while actually, but they've been around for long. But in the other names, there's also plenty things that I want to highlight a little bit to everyone, because there's so many great bands to see. Let's start, for example, with Lord of the Lost. I mean, Templars has a long history with Lord of the Lost. We've been seeing them forever. We've been seeing Chris from Lord of the Lost also with his previous acts, and been writing about that a lot. So yeah, good to see that they're going strong. And after Eurovision, of course, their fame blew up even more. So it's really cool to see that they made it now to Tuska Festival. I'm really curious to see the set, and I'm gonna try to be there in the pit to see them. Yeah, then there's a couple other acts that seem very interesting to me. Of course, Blood Red Hourglass. Also, they played a couple. I think, not sure if they actually played on the festival, but they did play a couple times on the after parties. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go and see them too. And then Infected Rain. Come on, we did this interview with them a while ago about their new album, and yeah, Lena is an amazing woman to talk with. She's so intense with her music, I think. She really lives what she sings. So I'm really curious to go and see that live and how they will do in Tuska. I think they can really energize the audience. So yeah, that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Crypta is gonna be there. Now, I saw Crypta recently, so let's not talk too much about it after that. But one of the other bands that I really want to highlight is Suburban Tribe. Now, Suburban Tribe I haven't heard from for a very long time, but what a lot of people don't know is that this is one of the bands that lays on the basis of the magazine Online, as Templars was and is. I think for me to start Templars, the decision to transition from being the previous version, we had been starting as printed. We have been doing email version of that, but I think it was in a show in Helsinki from Suburban Tribe and two other bands that I was thinking, okay, now I am with a couple of people that really like the music, and yeah, we can do this online. We can make a website and go on like that. We need to go this way, because there's no future in going printed. And I think anno 2024, that proves once again that you need to go. I mean, what the audience wants, the media needs to go with that. And yeah, it was really at that show from Suburban Tribe. It was in Nostori in Helsinki where they did that. And yeah, I'm glad to see that they're now kind of coming back. They've been doing a bit of a break, I think. So I'm really curious to see. Yeah, let's see. I'm looking forward. It's definitely gonna be on my list. Well, then Ghost Kid is something I could see myself going to. For some reason, they speak to me. The name is like, yeah, I need to go see it. There's Vola, but I've seen Vola before. It's not typically my kind of music, but a lot of people seem to like it. I think last time I saw them, we had the poll on which clashes we needed to go to. And a lot of people voted for Vola, so they will probably be on my list. But I'm not like completely ruling out that I am going to do another poll this year where you as an audience decides my schedule other than a couple of the bands that I really like. Just where you can say on the clashes like, okay, this is what we want to see reviewed. Yeah, there's a lot of bands on the cult stage that look interested to me. I think somehow this Sulfuris is looking rather interesting. They make, a bit of melodic death, some groove, a bit of heavy. So I haven't seen this new band live yet. They look interesting enough for me to go and check them out. Of course, Count and School Automaton is also on my list. I cannot just ignore them. And Health. Health has a bit more of an industrial sound, and I heard so many good things about them. I think I saw them a couple times in the past, but it doesn't ring a bell too much with me, like considering the memories that I have from it. I have to look back into the Templars archive to see if I can find anything from that. But yeah, I want to see their show. Of course, Amorphous is gonna play, so yeah, that's a no-brainer. The Polish Riverside, yeah, I want to see them. Then the Abbey, the Abbey is a band that has a lot of known names in the lineup. For example, the drummer from Sentence, and one of my favorite female vocalists, Natalie, from several other bands in what she did. I like her sound very much. I'm curious to see how that all is gonna sound live, because I listened to the album and it's very doomish. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not listening to the album that much after I reviewed it. I think I reviewed it, and I haven't really kept listening to it so much, so I might put it back on in the upcoming weeks again. But for me, it's still some name that I want to see live. Yeah, maybe Warman, I'm going to see, I'm not sure. Lost Society, yeah. Like, they were not originally on the list. I think they were here, like, also last year or the year before or something. They've been there very often. But they were, like, Bad Omens was supposed to play in Tuska, but they had to cancel for reasons. So Lost Society is kind of jumping into the gap by playing another show in Tuska. And I know they're always active, make a good show. They know how to energize the audience, so I kind of want to see them. They're on my list. Then there's Prestige. Of course. I know some of them in the band, so I'm curious to see it. Not gonna say too much about it because we will simply hear afterwards how I like it. Ivor, yeah, of course it's a big name right now. People are really hyping her up, and I'm not sure if it's really my kind of thing, but I think a lot of our listeners and our readers will really want to see about that show. So I am going to go to that show. Then there's one more band that I really wanted to go and see, and that is Swan Song. I mean, I've interviewed them in my Christmas series at the end of last year. So it's really nice that they are going to be around in Tuska, and I will be seeing their show there. So of course I'm going there. I have to, right? I need to see how they're doing it live. So that's a bit about their lineup. Of course, Tuska has always so much more to offer. They have a whole expo with, there's artists making jewelry, doing tattoos, art. There's so much to see. So, I'm gonna be curious about that too. We'll look a little bit into the many, many, many food options they have. Tuska is always an experience, so it's one of those things that I'm really looking forward to. Of course, next week I'll be going to the Into the Grave festival, so if you happen to be there and you see me walking around, feel free to come and talk to me. If you call me out and I am not responding, I'm probably completely in my mind going already to the next stage, thinking about the pictures I have to take. So if I ignore you, it's not on purpose. But In any case, I like it when people come and say hi and talk a little bit and tell me what you think about the show and what you want to hear in the podcast, for example. Bring it on. We really appreciate any feedback that we can get. So yeah, why not? Bring it on. Some news that I'm going to discuss with you people. Now Elvira is not here. I will probably more like a bit of a monologue. But I recently got bombarded in my social media feeds with an upcoming show of the Birmingham Royal Ballet. Now you think, ballet? You're a metal act. Well, they're using the music of Black Sabbath for their show. So I'm really curious what that will bring. And it definitely caught my attention. I'm not the biggest Black Sabbath fan, to be honest, but I really am curious about this show and how they come to combine that with ballet. The componist Chris Austin has been working on the music to make it work for ballet. So they're doing the couple shows in the Netherlands on Holland Dance Festival between 12 and 15 June in New Luxor Theatre in Rotterdam. I'm not completely sure if I'm gonna go, but it depends a bit if I find somebody who likes both metal and ballet, or either one of them and doesn't mind about the other. So it depends. I don't feel like driving several hours for a show to be there on myself. Let's see. I might tell you a bit more about it in a future episode. We'll see. I just wanted to talk a little bit about it and let you know that if you like Black Sabbath and or ballet, this might be something you are interested to. I recommend you to look at the Holland Dance website or check the New Luxor website for tickets. Tickets cost like €29 for the cheapest seats, and I think if you want to sit all in the front, it's 69. So it depends a bit what you want. Obviously, we don't have a bass today because, well, Elvira is the queen of the bass and she's not here. So no bassist to talk about. I'm a bit sad because I really enjoy hearing those stories about bassists and how they got to be in their bands and what kind of inspiration they had, what kind of examples they can give on other bassists on how to grow. So yeah, too bad. But then I do have a little bit of an ikigai for you guys today. This week I have been releasing a couple of interviews, the one with the Swedish Wormwood and one with the Greek Night Rage. Both bands that are very interesting and have new albums coming out. I was happy that these people were available to join me for a chat. And you guys really pulled it off. You guys really massively went to look at these interviews and left some comments. Yeah, I really appreciate that. It feels like all the work that goes into it is a bit paying off and make it worthwhile. Because imagine if you're doing an interview, it's not just meeting up with somebody and asking some questions. You need to go and dig into their discography, listen also to the older albums, find out facts, look a little bit about what the label has to say about them. Thinking of questions about their new album, you need to listen to the new album quite extensively because you want to know what's different from before, where they grow. So yeah, that takes up a lot of time. It's not like an easy job to do an interview. Some people think it is like, oh, you just might make a couple questions or take the same questions as always. Which sometimes may look a little bit like that, but yeah, in the end, bands still need to promote their new album, so you always come to the same kind of topics to discuss. But in the end, it's much more than that. You need to really to spend a lot of time on it, and then to see that a lot of like there's good viewing numbers on YouTube on those interviews that make me really happy. Seems that you guys liked it, and I'm happy about that. So thank you all for watching the interviews, giving some comments, and yeah, I really appreciate that. Also, if there is a new band that you like to hear an interview with, feel free to let us know, like, hey, these bands is coming up with a new album soon. Maybe you can interview them. Sure, let us know. Because most bands are really interested in having interviews done to promote their new album. It's just a matter of us being able to pick it up time-wise and to see if if it's a match. So just let us know which band do you want me to interview. I kind of want to know. So that's the good news. Of course, I'm also super happy that Tuska is welcoming me back once again. So yeah, that makes me happy. I'm looking forward to be in the festival ground once again. So it was a bit of a good week recently. Yeah. I cannot say much else than that. It makes me happy to be able to do this job, and that you guys are all very appreciative of that. So thank you. Yeah, for an album review, I had one picked out actually, but now you guys have to just listen to me talking about it instead of me and Elvira discussing it, which is okay. Yeah, so the album I chose was Vredehammer. They have a new album called God Slayer. It has come out on 24th of May. I think I already talked a little bit about it in previous episode when I was listening to one of the singles. But let's look a little bit deeper into the album now. Yeah, they have been together for quite some years. It's a band that I occasionally come across. Let's see what they have to bring. The band has previously 3 albums which had Grammy nominations, so that says that they are highly appreciated. They are often surprising me, and they once again did that with this release. They have an interesting combination of like death and a little bit blackened death, so to say, not specifically stereotypical black, but more like blackened death. Then there's a bit of thrash and groove in the music that comes out and picks a bit of a spotlight. But also they have this very melodic side as well, which makes it a bit catchy, sometimes a bit like atmospheric, but never losing any strength. And that's what I like on Vredehammer so much. And in Godslayer, you really see that coming back, They have some of the songs are a little bit slower than you might be used to, but not all of the songs are doing that. So it's a bit more balanced in that way. It's not one big train racing through. If you listen to this album, they do bring a lot of good guitars. I think the vocals are really nice, filling in what they've done before. Also, it's like a good combination. Before, maybe sometimes there would be one element jumping out a bit more than the other, and this time they seem to have a perfect balance in their sound, which I really like about that. Yeah, there's a couple of tracks that I want to highlight. Of course, the title track, Godslayer, is one of those. I liked Blood of Wolves a lot, and Product Human Slave. The title says a lot, I think, about what it is. Something that's so theme of the day, yet always theme of forever. It's not something new, but something that's still very relevant and will remain to be relevant, I fear, in a higher level than we've ever thought before. So it's cool that Vredehammer puts their thoughts on that. So yeah. That's a bit about this album. What I really liked about this is that it seems to be like everything they've done before coming together in a perfect balance. So I expect Vredehammer to go on tour and wow all the viewers quite easily with this. So I hope they cross our path a couple more times this year. Wow. I was going to pick a second album for this week, but I have been very busy doing other stuff also. Sometimes life brings you that, so it's only one. But I have been listening to a couple of singles that I really would like to mention to you. let's go over the list. Yeah, the first one I want to discuss is Kittie. Kittie, well, we have talked a little bit about Kittie in our bassist episode that we did earlier this year, where we were talking about the coolest female bassist that we could imagine. And yeah, of course, Kittie came by, and we thought, well, Kittie, we haven't heard much from them lately, but bam, there they are. They're coming back with a new single, and the single is called 1 Foot in the Grave. Interesting enough. Yeah, they will have a new album coming out in a couple weeks, and that album is called Fire. This week we were getting a single to listen to, and yeah, I can tell you a little bit about it. It's catchy, it's heavy, it's Kittie, but Kittie anno 2024. It's like they really took what they have and bring it back into the future and into the now. And I really appreciate that they don't stick with what they've always been doing, but also don't leave it completely behind. Simply letting the music come back with the time. And I think 1 Foot in the Grave is super catchy. If you hear it, you will easily sing it along. So I can imagine that this single will bring a lot of people active again. I hope they also address a younger audience, because I think especially for a younger generation this kind of music would really work. And although they've been around and have a lot of fans which grew with them through the years, I hope that they also can address like a new generation. I mean, I think it's over 13 years ago that they released their album. So sure, everybody who liked them back then is going to check it out. But yeah, hopefully some of the young girls, young guys are going to think like, hey, let's check out what Kittie's doing. In any case, this is a little bit of a shout out because the single is really nice and catchy to listen to. So I hope you will enjoy it. Up next, I want to talk a bit about Slaughter to Prevail, because they have a new single called Kid of Darkness coming out. And of course, we're gonna see Slaughter to Prevail in the upcoming festivals. So of course I need to listen to that. There's no question about that. Yeah, the band's having a Russian background, make deathcore. So it's a little bit heavier than Kittie is, but probably a good example of how to address a younger audience in their way of being very successful on YouTube. That promotion going on for them. Yeah, then I must be saying it's a lot of Russian bands are not really welcomed very much in Europe at the moment. Visa getting denied, even though yeah, it's a band doesn't always have anything to bring in against politics. It is hard for a Russian band to play in Europe nowadays. And I think Slaughter to Prevail kind of set a real statement with their anti-war song that they were releasing in 2022 to oppose the war that's going on. And I think that's definitely helped them to be a bit more welcome when it comes to that, because music is more about music rather than only about politics. I think it's good that these people get a chance to play here and show some kick-ass deathcore, so to say, because I can say that this Kid of Darkness song is very brutal. It's active. It has so much anger and rage in them that I can see this one being very successful. And of course, this band has been blowing away many people, and it's no surprise that they've been showing up headlining festivals and going strong with that. So yeah, I thought this single is exactly what they're about. This is what they do. This is what they bring. There's no secret in that. They're very straightforward in their words, and I think that is what is biggest to their success. And I think that if they're gonna play this live as explosively as I am watching the video from that single, they will be doing great. They will be one of my favorites, so to say, of this festival season, maybe even if they can pull it off. Let's see. Another one that I really needed to check out this week was from Puscifer. They released The Algorithm. which is a new song that they have been writing exclusively for Sumerian Comics, American Psycho. I have no idea what American Psycho comic book series is about, because that's not something I'm really familiar with, but I think for American listeners it's probably more a thing, or people who are specifically into that, but to be honest I haven't really heard people being into that at all. But yeah, let's see. I have what can I say about the song? It's calm, it's telling a bit of a story maybe. They have a very nice video with it, which has obviously to do with the comics. And yeah, I found it interesting to see, and I would really like to know a little bit more about it. So I'm gonna investigate it a little bit further in the future, because I think obviously we've been seeing the combination of comics and metal before. There was, of course, the Belgian band that did the Skeptical Minds, that did the whole comic book for their album. And yeah, we've been interviewing the band a little bit about that. So it's not like the first time I hear of this. I think it's done in the past also before. But I found it interesting to see how that comes together, because the mixing of different kinds of arts is always fascinating to me. Puscifer, The Algorithm. Just check it out on YouTube. It's an amazing video. It deserves to be watched. So look out for it. Then I have a little bit of a new band that I've been listening to. A band that has been formed about a year ago in April 2023. And their name is Painted Scars. They make a little hard rock sounds. They released their first single, Live and Alive, in 2023, so they've been getting some traction already, and now the band is back with a new song called Won't Give Up, where in this song they were talking about some illness that they have, and that is holding her back in doing what she wants to do. So it's cool to see that she now is able to release a single again, because that's obviously a struggle for her as a singer. And yeah, I like the song actually. It's full of energy. Like there's good guitar solo in there. There's some choruses that I enjoy. Yeah, it's quite a nice song for a starting band. So yeah, I'm gonna keep watching them, and the band is gonna release a debut EP in the future, not so far from now. I think they were planning to release that in August, so you probably hear us back later during the season with some talk a little bit about this EP. But for now, yeah, their single is out there, so have a look. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Italian black metal band Dark Ant, which is gonna release a new album called Viaticum in June, like in, well, let's say 2 weeks from now. Of course, I've been listening to the album a little bit already, but I think the release of the single is making it a bit more real for us to talk about, because you guys can simply look it up in social medias and listen to the track as well. Some Spotify, some YouTube, wherever you want to find it. And the new single that they were releasing a video for is having some very Latin name. And I'm gonna say the Masticazione. No, I'm just not gonna name it. I'm just not gonna name. It's just, no. Whatever, they have a new single, let's call it like that. And yeah, I kind of like about this track that it shows kind of a good combination of that synth that they have in there, the synth sound, but also having that heavy, typical black metal sound there as well. They combine also different styles, and that's something I really appreciate. It's done well. They have some various guests on the album coming up. They were planning to do a little bit of a tour, I think. I've seen something like that passing by. So, yeah, Dark End is something you will hear a little bit more about later this year, I guess. Maybe the last one I want to talk about is the band Smash Into Pieces. Gosh, these guys have been writing us senseless through the years with their music. I think they were actually going to be part of some local Eurovision contest. I'm not sure if they actually made it, because I didn't even watch the Eurovision this year. But yeah, also they have a new single out, and it is called Flame. They are making, I don't know, a bit energetic rock music, poor style, not even too much, but a good combination of different genres. And they're very active in the scene. I mean, they're gonna have some shows. They have something called Smash Fest. They're gonna do something with kids. Yeah, I kind of like that they are so active and on hands with what they're doing. So I gotta support them and talk a little bit about their single Flame. Flame is a track that I really enjoyed for its I don't know, somewhat active feel about it. I've been following the band for quite a bit through the years, so I can see how they were progressing and how they grew with what they were doing. Yeah, I think if you listen to Flame, you feel a bit of pride in that they're like, yes, man, this single works. This single works. So if you want to look it up, Smash Into Pieces, Flame. Now, I think we're going to be at the end of this episode already, because I have no one who talks back to me, and that's annoying. I miss my co-host. Elvira, where are you? Get better soon, because after Into the Grave Festival, where we are both going, I definitely have lots to discuss with her, and I think she will talk a little bit about the show as well. So, that will be interesting. The two of us together in a festival is always going to bring a lot of memorial moments. And yeah, let's see about that. I'm curious about some of the bands that Elvira will enjoy and the bands that I will enjoy, and see our views of that discussed with you. It's going to be very intense for us. We have to do a lot of editing after the show, and a lot of processing of everything that we've seen. So I'm curious how that's going to work out, but I'm excited for Elvira to be better and back again, because talking alone on a podcast is simply not ideal. But yeah, sometimes you have to do if somebody's last minute illness is going to be too much to find a replacement. I hope you still enjoyed listening to this one. Accept my talking, and hopefully we'll hear you back in the next one, because Into the Grave is going to be thoroughly discussed. Rests one thing to say to me. Please, if you haven't done yet already, please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, or on maybe on YouTube if you like. There's going to be more on YouTube than only the podcast, so I recommend that for sure. If you are in a position to have a couple of seconds left in your busy schedule, we would really appreciate it if you leave us a comment here and there. Whatever thought comes into your mind, please drop it there, and we are happy to listen to that and take your input to our next episode as well. So feel free to do so. We encourage that. And if you see us at one of the festivals, come say hi. Yeah, that's it for today. A short episode, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Bye!